Picture this, it's 2:17 a.m., timelines are refreshing by the second, group chats are blowing up, and hip-hop fans everywhere are sitting straight up in bed like, nah, he didn't just say that. Because in that moment, the rap game felt like it cracked right down the middle. Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. Two giants. Two legacies. One diss that people are already calling the most devastating lyrical strike of all time. This wasn't just rap beef. This was ego versus pride, artistry versus dominance, silence versus strategy. Fans are shocked, jaws are on the floor, and even industry insiders are whispering, this went too far. Because Kendrick didn't just drop bars, he dropped pressure. He dropped history. He dropped something that felt calculated, cold, and personal in a way nobody saw coming. Social media instantly turned into a war zone. Some fans screamed checkmate. Others yelled cap. And a whole lot of people started re-listening to old interviews, old lyrics, old moments, trying to connect dots that maybe were never meant to be connected. Emotions ran high as people questioned everything they thought they knew about this rivalry. Was this always brewing behind the scenes? Was this planned years in advance? Or did somebody finally cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed? Behind the scenes, insiders claim phones were ringing nonstop. Friends picked sides. Industry relationships got awkward overnight. And while Drake stayed silent, that silence only made the diss hit harder. Because in hip-hop, silence can be louder than any response. So tonight, we're breaking it all down. The lyrics you missed. The moments that feel a little too real. The reactions that say more than words ever could. And the question everyone's afraid to ask. Did Kendrick Lamar just end this battle before it even really began? Buckle up, because this story gets way deeper from here. Let's set the stage, because this didn't start with a diss. According to whispers from people close to the situation, this all started way before the world caught on, long before timelines were on fire, long before fans were screaming, rap civil war. Behind closed doors, tension was already simmering and everybody in the room could feel it. Sources claim Kendrick had been watching, quietly, patiently, while Drake stayed everywhere, charts, clubs, courtside seats, Instagram captions, Kendrick allegedly moved like a ghost. No posts, no sneak disses, just silence. And in hip-hop, silence is never empty. It's loaded. People close to Kendrick say he felt disrespected, not loudly, not publicly, but deeply. One insider claims Kendrick felt like Drake had been playing with the culture, stepping in and out when it benefited him, then wearing the crown like it was handed to him. Meanwhile, Kendrick had been in the lab, writing, erasing, rewriting, and sitting with thoughts that weren't meant for radio, they were meant for blood. One alleged studio witness said Kendrick paused a session one night, looked around the room and said, "If I ever speak on this, I'm not rapping. I'm telling the truth." That line alone has fans shook. Now let's talk about Drake's side, because according to people in his camp, he didn't see Kendrick as a threat anymore. Not like before. Drake allegedly felt untouchable. Bigger than beef. Bigger than competition. One rumored conversation has Drake laughing it off, saying, if he wanted smoke, he would have been outside. That confidence, that might have been the mistake. Behind the scenes, friends say Drake was hearing murmurs, subtle warnings from producers, execs, even other rappers. Don't underestimate Kendrick. But when you're Drake, warnings start sounding like noise. The money's flowing. The numbers are crazy. The love is loud. And when love is loud, it drowns out danger. Then came the moment fans didn't catch at first. A lyric, a pause, a look. During a performance, Kendrick allegedly altered a line, just slightly, and people in the know clocked it immediately. Hip-hop detectives started rewinding footage, slowing it down, zooming in. Fans are shocked when they realize that might have been the first shot. Quiet, surgical, almost respectful. Almost. At the same time, Drake was reportedly cracking jokes behind the scenes. They want beef so bad, one insider claims he said. It's promo season. But this wasn't promo. This was personal, and here's where it gets messy. According to multiple unverified sources, Kendrick had information. Not gossip, leverage. Old conversations. Industry moments that were never supposed to leave private rooms. Stuff that, if spoken out loud, would change how fans look at Drake forever. Friends begged Kendrick to let it go. You don't need this, one voice allegedly said. You're already him. But Kendrick's response? Cold, calm. This ain't about me. That's when emotions ran high. Because when someone says this ain't about me, it usually means it's about something bigger: pride, legacy, truth, or revenge. Drake, on the other hand, reportedly started feeling the shift. Streams were still high, but the energy felt off. People weren't praising anymore, they were watching. Waiting. One fan tweet went viral saying, "Why does it feel like Kendrick knows something we do?" And once that idea was out there, it spread like wildfire. Family and close friends allegedly felt the tension too. One source claims Drake's inner circle started tightening access, limiting who could speak, who could move, who could leak. Because leaks? That's what everybody feared. The family was left divided on how to handle it. Some wanted Drake to strike first. Others said, if you respond, you validate him. But Kendrick didn't need validation. He needed timing. Then came the studio night everything allegedly changed. Sources claim Kendrick recorded the diss in one take. No hype, no yelling, just a calm voice over a beat that felt like a slow heartbeat. One engineer allegedly said the room went quiet when Kendrick finished. No celebrations. No laughs, just silence. The kind of silence that lets you know something dangerous just happened. The diss wasn't flashy. It wasn't club-ready. It was surgical. Lines that didn't sound wild until you thought about them. Lines that felt like accusations wrapped in poetry. Fans are shocked because the more they replay it, the worse it gets. Like a movie that hits harder the second time. Word is, Kendrick sat on the track. Days, weeks, letting the pressure build. Letting Drake get comfortable. Letting fans forget there was even tension. Meanwhile, Drake was moving freely, laughing on camera, posting captions, living loud, and according to one insider, that's exactly what Kendrick wanted. Let him talk, Kendrick allegedly said. I'll speak when it matters. When the diss finally dropped, reactions were instant and explosive. Group chats went nuclear. Producers paused sessions to listen. Artists stopped mid-tour to pull it up. Fans were screaming, "This don't sound like rap beef. This sound like a warning." And Drake, silent. That silence had people spiraling. Was he shocked? Strategizing? Or did Kendrick really say something that couldn't be ignored or easily clapped back at? By the end of the night, fans weren't even arguing about who won. They were arguing about what was true. Because once truth enters the room, beef stops being entertainment and starts being uncomfortable. And this was only the beginning. Right after the silence, and this is where things start getting uncomfortable. Because when Drake didn't respond immediately, fans didn't just wait, they investigated. Hip-hop Twitter turned into a crime scene. Old lyrics got re-examined. Old interviews resurfaced. Screenshots started circulating with captions like, "Wait, how did we miss this?" Fans are shocked realizing that moments they once thought were harmless suddenly felt loaded. One viral clip showed Drake laughing in an interview years ago, talking about competition, but fans now swear his eyes shifted when Kendrick's name came up. That wasn't confidence, one fan tweeted. That was avoidance. Whether that's true or not didn't even matter anymore, the narrative had taken control. Meanwhile, insiders claim Drake was not as calm as he looked. Behind the scenes, emotions ran high. Phones were allegedly flying. Meetings happening late at night. One source claims Drake played the diss over and over, not angry, quiet. Too quiet. And when someone in the room said, "You gotta respond," Drake allegedly replied, "He's not talking to me. He's talking to them." And by them, people believe he meant the fans, the culture, the jury. That's when the fear set in. Because responding with bars is one thing, responding to accusations, that's different. This wasn't, "I rap better than you." This felt like, "I know something about you." And that's where friends allegedly started panicking. One unverified source claims Drake's camp debated multiple responses: a hard diss, a playful jab, even a surprise drop meant to change the conversation. But every option came with risk. Clap back too aggressive, you look guilty. Joke it off, you look scared. Stay silent, you let the story grow, and the story was growing fast. Fans started splitting into camps. One side screaming, Kendrick finally said what everybody's been thinking. The other side yelling, "This is cap, y'all just hate Drake." Comment sections turned into battlefields. Families were left divided, literally. One viral TikTok showed siblings arguing at the dinner table over who was really for the culture. It stopped being about music and started feeling personal. Then came the second twist. A producer, anonymous allegedly, dropped a cryptic tweet. Some of y'all about to realize your favorite moments weren't organic. That's it. No names, no context, but fans instantly connected the dots. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Reddit threads exploded. People started questioning collaborations, chart runs, even friendships. Drake's fans pushed back hard. "Where's the proof?" they asked. But Kendrick fans didn't need proof, they had vibes. And in the internet era, vibes move faster than facts. Inside Kendrick's circle, sources claim there was no celebration either. No victory laps, just focus. One friend allegedly asked Kendrick, "You good?" And Kendrick's response, "I'm ready." Ready for what? Nobody knew. What fans didn't see was the pressure Kendrick was under too. Because once you light the match, you don't control the fire. Some industry voices reportedly warned Kendrick that he was playing a dangerous game. "Drake doesn't lose quietly," one exec allegedly said. "He'll make it ugly." And that warning carried weight. Drake had resources, influence, relationships, the ability to flip narratives overnight. But Kendrick wasn't backing down. Another alleged studio moment leaked, this one chilling. Kendrick reportedly told his team, "If he lies, I go deeper." That line alone had fans shook when it surfaced, because it implied layers, levels, receipts that might never be meant for public ears unless pushed. Then Drake finally moved, not with music, with presence. Suddenly, he was everywhere again, smiling, courtside, laughing, posting cryptic captions like "unbothered," but fans weren't buying it. "Why he moving like this?" One comment read, "This feels forced." Every move got dissected, every smile analyzed, every emoji turned into a think piece. And here's where things get wild. According to one rumor that took over blogs overnight, Drake allegedly reached out privately. Not to Kendrick, to mutual friends. Messages that supposedly said, "Tell him let's keep it music." That rumor alone shifted the energy. Fans are shocked. "Why say that if it's just rap?" people asked. Kendrick's camp never confirmed it, never denied it. And that silence. Loud again. Then a so-called insider leaked a supposed line that Kendrick cut from the diss. A line so personal that people questioned if it should ever be heard. Was it real? Nobody knows. But the idea that Kendrick held back made the released diss feel even scarier. Like, this wasn't even the worst of it. At this point, the culture was exhausted, but addicted. Every podcast had an opinion. Every YouTuber had a breakdown. Even artists not involved started choosing words carefully in interviews. Nobody wanted to be on the wrong side of history. And Drake? Still no response track. One source claims his inner circle was split down the middle. Some said, "Drop now or you lose." Others said, "If you drop, you play into Kendrick's hands." The family was left divided on strategy, pride versus protection, ego versus legacy. Fans started asking the big question, what if Kendrick already won by not saying everything? Because in rap, sometimes the threat hits harder than the punch. As days passed, the pressure didn't fade, it intensified. Streams of the diss climbed. Reaction videos hit millions. Fans weren't just listening, they were studying. Every bar felt like it had a second meaning, a third meaning, maybe a fourth. And just when it felt like things couldn't get heavier, Kendrick did nothing. No interviews, no posts, no follow-up. That calm before the storm had everybody on edge. Because if was the warning and was the fallout, everybody knew something else was coming. And when it did, there would be no way to spin it. Where the tension stops simmering and starts boiling over, because by now, the culture wasn't just watching anymore. It was holding its breath. The silence from Kendrick started feeling intentional in a way that made people uneasy. Fans are shocked because this wasn't the normal rap beef cycle. No back and forth, no quick replies, no playful jabs. This felt like psychological warfare. Like Kendrick had already said enough and was now letting paranoia do the rest of the work. And paranoia? Oh, it spread fast. Inside Drake's camp, rumors say the mood shifted from confidence to control. Suddenly, everyone was watching what they said, who they texted, who they trusted. One alleged insider claimed phones were being checked before meetings. Nobody wanted to be the weak link, they said, because at this point, nobody knew what Kendrick might drop next or who he might be talking to. Fans noticed it too. Drake started canceling appearances. Interviews got postponed. That loud, ever-present energy, gone, and when he did pop out, it felt different. Less carefree, more calculated. Comment sections filled with, Why he looks stressed? And that smile ain't reaching his eyes. Whether fair or not, the narrative was shifting, and narratives are dangerous when you lose control of them. Meanwhile, Kendrick's name stayed trending without him saying a word. That's when the third twist hit. A leaked group chat screenshot started circulating online, allegedly from an industry circle, allegedly discussing the diss before it dropped. Again, unverified. Again, explosive. One message in particular went viral. If he drops that record, it's over. No reply can fix it. Fans are shocked because the timestamp suggested people knew the impact before the public ever heard it. Was it real? Nobody could confirm it, but it didn't matter. The damage was already done. Drake's fans went into defense mode. Hardcore. This is a setup. They're trying to rewrite history. Y'all switching up for clicks. And to be fair, some had a point. Fake leaks thrive in moments like this, but the energy felt different. Even neutral fans started saying, something feels off. And then Drake finally spoke. Not in a song, in a quote. During a casual moment caught on camera, someone asked him about competition. Drake laughed, shook his head, and said, "I'm unbothered, always been." Simple, clean, but fans weren't buying it. Emotions ran high online. "If you gotta say you unbothered, you bothered," one viral tweet read. Kendrick still didn't move. According to sources close to him, that was the point. Kendrick allegedly believed Drake would talk himself into a corner. "Let him explain," Kendrick supposedly told someone. "Truth don't rush." But pressure doesn't care about philosophy. Behind closed doors, Drake's inner circle was reportedly arguing. One side wanted to go nuclear, drop a diss that named names, flipped accusations, and dragged Kendrick into the mud. The other side wanted restraint. "If you escalate this, it stops being rap," one voice allegedly warned. It becomes something else. The family was left divided, literally and figuratively. Then came the moment that changed everything. A respected figure in hip-hop, someone neutral, someone trusted, allegedly reached out to both camps. Not to mediate publicly, to warn privately. The message? This is getting dangerous. Because when fans start believing one artist has secrets on another, reality stops mattering. Perception becomes king. Kendrick's response to that warning, according to rumors, was chilling. "I already said what I needed to say." That's when people realized this wasn't about winning anymore. It was about legacy. Fans began reframing the entire rivalry. Old moments resurfaced, award show interactions. Lyrics that once felt generic now felt pointed. Drake's success got questioned. Kendrick's silence got mythologized. One fan wrote, "Kendrick didn't diss Drake, he dissected him." That tweet alone did numbers. Then, unexpectedly, a new leak surfaced. A supposed early version of the diss, shorter, rougher, angrier. If real, it showed Kendrick originally planned to go harder. Much harder. Lines that sounded bitter. Personal, almost cruel. Fans are shocked because it suggested Kendrick chose restraint, not mercy, but strategy. And that reframed everything. Suddenly, Kendrick wasn't just the aggressor. He was the one holding back. And Drake, the one reacting. Drake's camp reportedly noticed the shift too. One insider claimed someone said, "We're losing the room." Because once fans start seeing you as defensive, every move looks guilty, even when it's not. Drake finally returned to the studio. Producers cleared schedules. Security tightened. Sessions went late into the night. And according to whispers, multiple tracks were recorded, then scrapped. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt safe. How do you respond to something that feels like a character judgment? One source allegedly asked. Kendrick, meanwhile, was spotted living normally, walking quietly. No entourage, no spectacle. That image alone became symbolic. Fans ate it up. "He already said his piece," people commented. "He's at peace." But peace can be a weapon too. Then, out of nowhere, Kendrick did something unexpected. He liked a fan tweet. That's it. The tweet said, "The loudest diss is letting the truth sit." Fans lost their minds, screenshots everywhere. This confirms it. He's standing on it. Emotions ran high as people interpreted that like a victory lap, subtle, quiet, devastating. Drake didn't respond. By now, the question was who won? It was what happens next. Because this beef cracked something open in the culture. Conversations about authenticity, about power, about who gets crowned and why. Drake represented dominance. Kendrick represented depth. And once that contrast was exposed, it couldn't be unseen. Insiders say Drake eventually realized that responding might not save him, but staying silent might not either. That's the trap Kendrick allegedly set. No good options, only choices, and Kendrick? Still calm, still quiet. One source close to him summed it up best: he didn't want Drake's spot, he wanted the conversation. And judging by the chaos, the think pieces, the divided fans, and the uncomfortable questions still hanging in the air, he got exactly that, but the story wasn't over yet. By now, the culture wasn't debating bars anymore, it was debating reality. Fans are shocked at how fast the conversation shifted. This was no longer who raps better. It became, who have we been believing all this time? And that question hit different depending on where you stood. Inside Drake's world, the pressure reportedly became unbearable. Sources claim people close to him started noticing changes. Shorter patience, less laughter. Conversations that used to be jokes suddenly turning tense. One insider allegedly said, he wasn't mad, he was irritated. Like someone messed with the image he worked his whole life to protect. And when you build an empire on perception, any crack feels like an earthquake. Drake's fans felt it too. They started defending not just the music, but the man. Threads popped up listing accomplishments, numbers, receipts. You can't erase a decade, one viral post read. But Kendrick fans countered with something colder. He didn't erase it, he questioned it. And that distinction mattered, because questioning doesn't need proof right away, it needs doubt. Meanwhile, Kendrick's silence had turned him into a symbol. People weren't even talking about him as a rapper anymore. They talked about him like a judge who had already spoken. One fan tweeted, Kendrick walked in, said his piece, and left the room burning. That tweet alone had millions of views, and then came the industry reaction. Artists started moving funny. Suddenly, collaborations got delayed. Interviews became vague. Rappers who used to praise Drake started choosing neutral language. Nobody dissed him, but nobody defended him either. That quiet distance? Loud. Emotions ran high as fans noticed the shift. Why nobody stepping up? People asked. Why nobody calling cap? Because nobody wanted smoke. Behind the scenes, it's rumored Drake tried to change the narrative, not through music, but through moments. Surprise appearances, nostalgia posts, old hits resurfacing, a reminder campaign, remember who I am. But every move got twisted. This feels like damage control, one comment read. Whether fair or not, the internet had decided Drake was reacting. And Kendrick, still unmoved. Then came another twist that shook everything. A respected journalist dropped a vague statement during a podcast. Some battles aren't meant to be responded to publicly. Some are warnings. No names were mentioned, but fans instantly connected it. Clips spread everywhere. This confirms Kendrick's angle, people claimed. Drake fans pushed back hard. Y'all reaching, they said, but the damage was already done. The family was left divided in the fanbase too. You had longtime Drake supporters questioning things they never questioned before. And Kendrick fans arguing among themselves about whether this went too far. Some said, this ain't beef, this character assassination. Others replied, that's what happens when you play King too long. And that word, king, kept coming up, because Kendrick never called himself one. Drake did. And once that contrast settled in, it became unavoidable. Insiders claim Drake finally finished a response track. Multiple, actually. One aggressive, one reflective, one dismissive, but none of them felt right. Every version sounded like defense, one alleged source said, and in rap, defense is weakness, even when it's justified. There was also fear. Fear that responding would open doors Kendrick had already hinted at. Fear that lines meant to protect Drake would instead expose him. Fear that the internet would twist every word into guilt. So the track stayed shelved. Fans started noticing the absence. Why he recording but not dropping? What's he waiting for? And that waiting became the story. Silence versus silence, but only one side looked in control. Then Kendrick did something subtle again. During a rare appearance, someone asked him about competition. Kendrick smiled and said, I love rap. That's it, no names, no energy, but fans lost their minds. That smile said everything, one comment read. He's already moved on. Moved on from what? That's when people realized something chilling. Kendrick never treated this like a feud. He treated it like a statement, and statements don't need replies. Drake, on the other hand, was trapped in a cycle of expectation. If he responded, he risked looking exposed. If he stayed silent, he risked looking defeated. The culture had put him in a box, and boxes shrink fast. Rumors started flying that Drake was considering addressing it indirectly on an album. Let time pass. Let the noise die down. Let fans move on, but fans didn't move on. They waited. Every release announcement came with comments like, "We want the Kendrick response." And that's when the weight of it all became clear. This diss didn't just challenge Drake, it froze him. Fans are shocked realizing that sometimes the most devastating move isn't a knockout punch, it's removing someone's ability to move freely. Kendrick didn't flood the streets with music. He didn't chase headlines. He didn't even claim victory. He let the culture sit with discomfort, with doubt, with questions that had no easy answers, and those questions lingered. Is dominance about numbers or trust? Is silence confidence or calculation? And what happens when the audience stops cheering and starts judging? One thing was undeniable. This wasn't a beef you replay for fun. This was a moment that changed how people looked at power in hip-hop. And the scariest part, nobody knew if Kendrick was truly done, or if he was just letting the echo finish its work. And now we're here, at the point where the music stopped, but the questions got louder. Because when the dust settles, this doesn't feel like a typical rap beef you argue about for a week and move on from. This feels like a moment the culture is going to reference for years. Fans are shocked not just by what Kendrick said, but by what he didn't say, by how much he left unsaid, by how silence itself became part of the diss. Drake versus Kendrick turned into something way bigger than bars. It became a conversation about power, about authenticity, about who really controls the narrative in hip-hop. And the wildest part? There's still no clear ending. No victory speech. No response track. Just a culture sitting with discomfort, divided opinions, and unanswered questions. Did Kendrick really expose something, or did he simply force people to look closer? Did Drake choose silence as strategy, or was he cornered with no clean exit? And is this really over, or are we just in the quietest part of the storm? Because history tells us this. Moments like this don't disappear. They resurface. In lyrics, in interviews, in side comments years later that suddenly make everything click. And when that happens, fans will come right back to this moment and say, "This is where it changed." Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Kendrick delivered the most devastating diss without ever raising his voice? Do you believe Drake played it smart by staying quiet, or did that silence cost him the narrative? And most importantly, who do you think really won this battle? The rapper who spoke or the one who stayed silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is far from over. If you caught something we missed, say it. If you think the internet went too far, speak on it. And if you believe there's more coming, let us know why. Make sure you like this video if you felt the tension, subscribe if you want the real breakdowns the moment they drop, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Because in hip-hop, silence never lasts forever. And when it breaks, we'll be right here. It lasts forever. And when it breaks, we'll be right here.